Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting session. I'm your host Mahesh Kariya. You're watching me on YouTube now, and today I'm gonna take you through Kotlin Crash Course. So without wasting any time, let's deep dive into it. So if you are using this Kotlin for the very first time, no matter from which background you came from, like from Android development or from web development, or from Spring Boot family. Okay, so Kotlin is a strongly statically typed language, okay, introduced by JetBrains in 2011, and in 2017 Google officially announced that it will be supported as a primary language in Android development. So yeah, this is all about Kotlin. Okay, so we'll directly jump into the quickly with the practical things. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's deep dive into it. So I'm going to use IntelliJ as an editor. Okay, and you can see main function over here. This is the minimal code for hello world program in a Kotlin. Okay, so main function is an entry point in a Kotlin, and we'll quickly start with the variables first. Okay, so there are two types of variable. First one is mutable, another one is readable, which is also known as constant. So for variable you can say var. Let's say var a is equal to 1. Okay, and after that you can define over here var a. Okay, so you can see the line is given over here. Okay, it means it can be a constant which is readable only if you are not trying to reassigning it. Okay, so let me run this thing once again, and the build is going on here, and you can clearly see one is here. But if you wanna change this thing, okay, what you can do, you can write this thing a equal to 2 over here. After that you can clearly see now it won't work. So for that you need to change this to var, then only it will work. Okay, and just run this thing once again. But as I said, this is static type language. Okay, so we can define types over here as well. Okay, so which is optional, or you can define it as well. So this is an integer, so I'll define int. Okay, and you can define int char. Then here we need to change once again, because this is going to be, you can of course you can do the typecasting as well over here. So you can do to string, to float, to long, to short, whatever it may be. It's all your choice. Another way is to define inside the string. Okay, so you can use $a. So like that, like the way you can define a over here as well, it will work same. Okay, so again it will print same too. Okay, and there is a difference between println and print. Okay, so if I do print, so it won't take a complete line to print this thing. Okay, it will take just the space which is required for 2. This is it. Now let's talk about data types. Okay, so there are few data types we can use over here, which is int, double, float, long, short, byte. Okay, so and string as well. So you can define string over here as well. Let's say val f will be string. Okay, and it should be in double quotation. So like the way, let's say m. Okay, so like the way you can define the string over here as well. And let me try to run this thing with string, and here I need to define string, and once we run this thing we'll see the output over here in this shell. You can see this is the output. And same goes with the typecasting as well. For the typecasting we can use these functions: to byte, to short, to int, to long, to float, to double, to char. Like the way we can use casting. And of course I forgot about comment, so you can use / for to comment. Okay, of course the single line comment, and for multi-line comment you can use like that. Okay, so here like the way you can define the multi-line comment, which is very important. Okay, and there is one more data type, which is boolean. Okay, so let me remove all this thing, and let me use val a equals to, let's say, boolean first, and which will equal to true, and val b, which will be a boolean again, is equal to false. And here we can println with A and B, like that. Okay, and let me try to run this thing. So here you can see true and false. So like the way, this is also a data type that you can use. Now let's talk about few methods of string. Okay, so instead of boolean, I'm gonna use string here, which will be single line or multi-line. So this is my single line. Okay, and I'm gonna use println to print again $a, or you can directly write A. But if you want to use multi-line, then what? So for that you can either use /n, which is not a good way, or you can use like this. Okay, so this is multi-line. Okay, like that. Let me run this thing and let me see the output. So this is the multi-line. Okay, and there are few things like you can use dot last index. With that you will get the last index of which is t, I'm assuming. Let me run this thing. Okay, there are few methods, inbuilt methods that you can use. The last index is 19. I'm talking about index, and you can use of course the array format. Okay, like this. So here you can define the position. With the 0 position you will get the very first let me complete this thing over here. So with this, of course, 0 position you will get the first element. Okay, which will be let me run this thing, and which will be m, of course. Okay, so with dot length you will get the length of the string. Okay, and there are lots of inbuilt methods that you can use, so I'm not gonna deep dive into it. So like the way you can use the string methods. Now let's talk about array. So in order to use array, you can directly use array using array of. Okay, where you can define diamond operator. Inside that you can define the type, data type. So let's say I'm gonna use names, let's say Mahesh, Deepak, and onwards. Okay, and if you want to print this, you can use directly for loop over here, where you can use name in names. Okay, and here you can print name directly. Okay, so let me run this thing quickly, and you can see here in shell all the names are printed. Okay, after that, if you want to print the particular position, okay, so what you can do, you can directly use println over here, and you can use names and use array of 0, let's say. So it will print the first element, which is Mahesh. So you can see Mahesh is printed over here. You can also use dot get. Instead of that, you can directly provide the index of position 1, let's say, and it will print the first element, the second element, of course, which is Deepak. Okay, before that you can use set as well. Okay, so names dot set, and with that you can provide the particular position, and you can replace it with you can add elements over there, let's say MWNA Meena. Okay, and let me run this thing quickly, and you will see at position 1 now, instead of Deepak we'll get Meena. Okay, so like the way you can use get and set. Apart from that, there is one more thing, which is distinct. Okay, so instead of this we'll say val distinct, and here you can say name dot distinct. Okay, so distinct is it will allow you to eliminate the redundant values. Okay, so names dot distinct, like that. Okay, and let me look through it. So distinct, and let me add one duplicate value over here, which is again Deepak. Okay, and once we do that, it will print only Meena, Mahesh and Deepak. Okay, like that. So let me use another method, which is drop. Okay, so if I use name dot drops, okay, sorry, names dot drop, then you can define the elements like 2. Okay, so it will drop first 2 elements. Okay, let me assign this to val new names. Okay, and let me use new names over here. So this time it will drop first 2 elements and it will print Deepak only. Yeah, you can see over here. Okay, and after that you can also use if. Okay, if names dot is empty. Okay, there are lots of inbuilt functions, is empty, is not empty, and lots of other, but these are some basic functions that we use on daily basis. So let me show you. Println array is empty. Okay, so of course it's not going to print, so let me use else block and let me use println once again, where I'm gonna use array is not empty. Okay, and let me run this thing once again. So like the way it will print array is not empty with of course Deepak over here. So yeah, this is it about array. And one more thing, there is also array.size that I forgot to tell you guys. So let me use dollar names dot size over here. Okay, so it will print the size of array. So like the way you will get the size of array, which is 3. Okay, now let's talk about range. Okay, so range is a new feature in Kotlin where you can directly define range from, let's say, num in 1 to 10. So in order to print number from 1 to 10, you can directly use dot dot. Okay, so let me print this thing and you will get the output from 1 to 10. Okay, so if you wanna do this in reverse order, okay, what you can do, you can wrap this thing like this and you can directly use reversed like this. So it will print from 10 to 1. Okay, like this. So if you wanna do one more thing, like if you wanna print from A to Z all the characters, you will say from A to Z. Okay, and here I need to print character, of course. So here you can directly define ch and you can directly print from here. Okay, so it will print from A to Z. Okay, so if you wanna use step, okay, step 2, let's say, so you can see the magic over here of step. So it will skip every another element. Okay, so like the way you can skip every adjacent element from here, step 2, step 3 and onwards. Okay, so let me get back to normal names once again, sorry, nums, and here from 1 to 10, instead of that you can say 1 dot or you can say until 5. Okay, so let's say I want to go from 10 to 5. Okay, so it will print till 5. Okay, let me print this thing once again, and we don't have anything. Let me use 1, sorry, I forgot. So it will print, it will skip the last one. You can see here it will not print the 5 if you are using until over here. Okay, or you can use down to 5, let's say, 4 to 5 we can say. It's not like this, 5 to 1 we can say. And let me print this thing once again, and like the way you can get the output from 5 to 1. Now let me show you one more thing, like we can use few inbuilt methods that you can see over here, which is sum, average and count. And let me print this thing. So if we have elements from 1 to 10, so we'll get sum of 55, average of 5.5 and count of 10. like the way you can use the inbuilt methods as well. Now if you wanna check like if something is present in that particular array or not, or some element you have, if you wanna check this element is present in it or not, so you can directly use if. Okay, so if let's say 2 in a, okay, then you wanna print something. Okay, println yes 2 is there, or else print sorry 2 is not there. Okay, and let me print this thing. So like the way you can check directly with using in a, okay, with using in operator. Now let's start with the functional programming. For that we need to define function over here. Okay, let's say I'm gonna create a function of factorial. So for that we need to define fun keyword in order to create the function, and I'm gonna create function for factorial. So for that we need to pass integer, okay, so which will be type of int, and we need to define return type which will be type of int again. And here we'll check in if log, if we get n is double equal to 1, then we'll simply return n, okay, and else we'll return n into fact of n minus 1. Okay, here we go. So we need to return this thing, and we need to print over here as well. So we can store this in val result, which will be fact of 4, I guess. Okay, and here we can, now what we can do is we can simply print result. Okay, print of result. Like the way we can print result over here as well. There is one more feature in Kotlin that we get. Okay, you can store result over here as well. Okay, if will always return the value. So if you wanna store here, you can store here as well. Okay, so let me grab this thing and let me run this thing. Okay, so once we run this thing, we'll get the output over here, which is 24. Okay, we can also use read line over here. So let's say where n is equal to read line. Okay, so through that read line we'll get the n, and you can pass the n over here, and you can do 2 int. Okay, let me do 2 int over here. So now if I run this thing once again, it will ask me for, you can directly enter something over here, let's say 5, and it will return 120. So like the way this is the simplest program for the factorial. After that we'll try to create a one lambda function. So let me remove this thing. Okay, and let me remove all this thing. Okay, and instead of that I'm gonna create val lowercase is equal to, here we need str of type string, and we'll use this arrow operator in order to perform the operation on that particular string, dot, let's say, to lowercase. Like the way you can it was deprecated to lowercase, so nowadays we use lowercase. Okay, so now we can use this lowercase over here as well. So let's say if I have a value of my name, okay, and I want to print my name. Okay, and while printing my name I want to convert this thing to lowercase. So at that time I'll say my name should be in lowercase. Okay, and it should be of course val, because we are not trying to reassign this thing. And let me rerun this thing once again, and here we go. Now let me add Mahesh in capital, and we'll get Mahesh in lowercase. So yeah, this is it. Now in Kotlin we have a few control flows. Okay, if else, for loop, while, break, continue, and when expression. Okay, so most of the things we are familiar with, but when is something new that I need to tell you guys before proceeding. So let me start with very basic program. Let's say I have val a, which is type of integer, and which will be 2, let's say. okay, and here I'm going to use when condition. So inside when I'm going to pass this a, and here you can do things like this, okay. If we get 1, you can simply return or print ln that I got 1, okay. So if you wanna get it goes same with other things as well. If we get 2, then you can print that we got 2, let's say, okay. Let's say if you wanna go from 3 to 6, let's say, okay, so you can use this in, okay. Through that you can do this println, okay, it is between 3 to 6, okay. After that there is one more thing, like if you wanna say 7 comma 8 comma 9, okay. Once you got 7 comma 8 comma 9, so you can say it is between 7 to 9, okay. Or you can also define the else block, okay. Inside that else block you can say println it's not here, okay. So let me do one more thing, let me run this thing, okay, and once we do that we'll get output over here, and which is 2, because 2 is present over here. Now let me change this to 3 and let me rerun this thing. So we'll get it is between 3 to 6, and let me rerun this thing with using 9. So we'll get it is between 7 to 9 we should get, okay. And let me try 99, okay. So we'll get it is not here, most probably, okay. So like the way you can use when condition. I hope you guys are familiar with if condition as well, okay. So the new feature is we get the result, okay. Result is equal to, let's say, if the val which is a is equal to 999, then we'll return true, else will return false, okay. And we'll print result over here, and let me run this thing. So like the way you can get the result over here. Rest of the things are pretty normal: while condition, do while condition, and break continue, okay. So this is it, I guess, with the control flow of in Kotlin. Now let's start with Kotlin collections, okay, where we have set, map, which is a hash map, and list, okay. So let me remove all the code and let me quickly start with the val, which is list of fruits, okay. And here we can define list of, okay, which is type of string, and here you can define apple, banana, and onwards, okay. And after that, here what you can do, you can use either for loop to extract fruit in list of fruits, okay, and you can separately print that if you want. Or we have another thing to use while loop, okay. So in that while loop we'll say if, let's say, val itr, which is list of fruits dot list iterator, okay. So from that itr what we'll check is has next, okay. It will check if it has next, then only it will print next of that itr, okay, iterator. So let me print next over here, okay. Like the way you can print from list of fruits, okay. So the answer will be apple, banana, answer will remain the same, okay. So like the way you can do this thing. Now instead of for and instead of while, we can directly use for each. So list of fruits dot for each, and inside that we'll directly define println, and we can define iterator of it. So it will act as same. Okay, just hit this thing and we'll get the same output. Apart from that, there are few things. Let me show you. Let's say I wanna check the size of list of fruit, then I'll say simply size. Okay, like the way you will get the size. If you wanna check that something is present here or not, so you will directly check by if condition list of fruits dot contains that particular banana, like the way you can check. So, or you can print like yes, banana is there. Apart from that, we can directly check with the if condition and with using banana in list of fruits, like the way you can use. Okay, apart from that, we can also have other methods like is empty, index of, and onwards. Okay, so I'm not gonna deep dive into it once again because it's similar to kind of array of. Okay, there is one more thing I forgot to tell you about. This is a read only list of. If you wanna check with immutable or mutable things, so you wanna define val list of fruits or list of mutable fruits. Okay, and here you can define mutable list of, like the way you can define mutable list of, and which this is read only, and here you can add it whatever you want. Okay, so like the way you can define. For that, we'll stick to list of, and here also I'm going to use list of, and I'm gonna say pineapple over here. Okay, and let me use third one, which is val all fruits. Okay, which will equal to list of fruits and another list of fruits, let's say. Okay, and so you can do directly operations like addition and subtraction over here. So let me add one line over here. Let me comment this out. Okay, so here what we can do, we can directly use for each. Let's say, let me add this thing to here and let me comment this out. So no need to run this thing, and here we go. So inside here it should return apple, banana, and pineapple. So let me see what we get: apple, banana, and pineapple. So like the way you can do the things. Let me try to use minus over here, and let me use apple over here, and let me see the output what we will get. Okay, so apart from that, we have another method which is slice. Okay, to take slice of two things from there. Okay, let me use Control Z once again. Here as well, let me do Control Z, and here we can define directly println. Okay, and inside that println, I'll say from all the fruits. Okay, dot slice, and in that slice you can define from 0 position to second position, like the way you can define the slice. So it is also useful. Okay, there are other filter methods as well. So you can filter from the integer value. Okay, so filter is there, drop is there, map is there, that you can deep dive into it. There is a group by is also there. So the chunked and windowed and lots of other inbuilt functions that you can get into it. Okay, so apart from that, let's go to the mutable list. Okay, where we have two functions. Let me comment this out, and let me say mutable list of. Okay, so mutable list of, and let me remove this thing from here, and here I can say list of fruits dot add. Okay, so like the way you can add new fruit. Okay, and once again I'm gonna say list of fruits for each, and let me run this thing. Okay, so it will again print apple, banana and pineapple. So if you wanna add something, you can directly write add, or if you wanna remove something, you can directly say remove over here. Like the way you can directly remove from here. Let me try to run this thing once again, and let me see the output, and it should be banana only if I'm right. So here we go, and we got banana only. So let me start with sets quickly. Okay, so which will remain the same. Instead of mutable list, we'll say the mutable set, or we will say set of. Okay, so you can directly write like this, set of, and make sure to not use returned values over here. Okay, that's the only thing. And let me remove this thing from here, because it will not work over here. And for the mutable, it will remain the same, mutable set of, and all the most of the methods that we can use over here as well. So the only difference between list and set, in set we don't have duplicate values, in list we have duplicate values. After that we have map. Okay, so let me remove all the code and let me start with map. So val map. Okay, or we can say the map. Okay, and here you can define map of or mutable map of, where you can, we don't need to do this. Instead of that we'll say keys. Okay, so we'll say name to Mahesh. Okay, after that I'll say email to Mahesh at gmail.com and password to Mahesh at 123, let's say, which is not my official password, of course. And mutable map of. Okay, so it will be type of string. No need to define this actually. Okay, like the way you can define. So let me go back to map of, and here what we can do is we can directly use println, and here we can print the map. Let me run this thing, and here we go. So you can see we got name, email and password over here. Okay, so like the way we can define a few methods. Actually few methods are here that we can use, like dot keys. So you can extract all the keys from here, which is Mahesh, name, email and password. After that you can get all the values from here, like the way Mahesh at gmail.com and Mahesh at 123, and you can get all the entries from here. So you can use entries like this, so you will get all the entries from here as well. So okay, after that a few other methods are also here, like toString you can use. Okay, like that. So and there are lots of functions as well. Now if you wanna go from if you wanna loop through it, you can directly use iterator. Okay, well itr and is equal to the map. Okay, dot keys dot iterator, dot iterator. So through that you will get while loop, and instead of using for loop you can use while loop here as well. So itr dot has next once again, and if we get the has next, okay, then only you can print the particular, let me print that the map, and here you can define that key if we get the itr dot next over here. Okay, so it will return the key. So like the way, let me run this thing once again, and it will return name, email, and password one by one. So like the way, you can loop through it if you want. Okay, so if you don't want to do this, you can also use the for loop over here as well. So let me comment this out, all the unwanted code, and let me use for loop only. So there is a technique to use for loop. Okay, so we have key and we have value that we are gonna fetch from the map. Okay, and here what we can do, we can directly use println, and inside that println we can define my key, okay, is equal to my value. Okay, like the way you can define. And let me run this thing. So you will get name equal to Mahesh, email equal to this, and this equal to this. Okay, you can also use once again for each, the same thing that we can do with for each as well. So let me grab the map over here and let me use for each over here. So inside that for each, we need to use curly braces here, and again we have key and value. Based on that key value, we can directly use println over here as well. Same with k with $v value, and let me use space over here. Okay, and this is my for each, of course. So let me run this thing once again, and here we go. So we got the same output. Okay, so like the way, you can look through it, and we can also use the dot size, dot count to get all the count. Okay, you can use contains key as well in order to check that particular key is present here or not. Let me show you quickly how it will work. So if you wanna check if, okay, that particular the map contains, if you wanna check the email is present over there or not, so you can write like this. If so, then only you can println with that particular email, or you can say email is there. Okay, like the way you can check if you want. Okay, there are also functions is empty, you can check the map is empty or not, or you can use directly dot get method as well in order to get something like email is there, and you can say dollar, and inside that I'll say the map dot get that particular string, and string name is email, let's say. So like the way you can get the email. So let's see how it works. Hopefully we should get the email. You can see the email over here as well. So like the way we can do this thing as well. So addition and subtraction we can do here. Okay, just with plus and minus operator between two mutable and immutable map. Okay, and we can similarly we can use a remove as well if you want to remove something from there. So in mutable map of course, instead of this map of, we'll say mutable map of. Okay, and if we get this mutable map of, we can directly, if I want to remove something, I'll say the map dot remove that particular string of key email. Okay, like the way we can do these things. Okay, so hopefully this time we should not get this line. Email is gone from here, you can see. Okay, the filter keys you can use if you want. Okay, like let me show you quickly. Const filter name, let's say. Okay, so sorry, val, I used to work on JS. So val, we can say filter name. Okay, so here what we can do, we can go through the map. Okay, we can do filter over here, and inside that filter we can iterate and we can check if is equal to Mahesh. Okay, so then only we can filter all the names. Okay, so make sure to define unique keys. Okay, but we can define the same values to different keys as well. So like the way it will work. So let me remove this thing. So like the way you can this is not a proper example, but you can use the filter over here as well if you want. The filter keys is also there. Okay, the map that you can use over here, and lots of other inbuilt functions that you can use. Okay, most of the time I prefer to use for each or for or while, which is pretty simple. Okay, but these are additional functions that you can get hands on with it. Now let's move on to classes. So in Kotlin we can use functional programming as well. At the same time we can use object oriented programming as well. So for that I need to remove all the previous code. Okay, and we'll start with the normal class, which is user, which is preceded by class keyword. And let me use user, and here you can define, you can use this thing as a constructor where I'll be having val name, which will be type of string. Okay, then we can use val email, which will be again type of string, or you can use any other data types as well. Okay, for pin code you can use int, anything. Okay, after that you can define function here. Let's say get user details. Okay, inside that user details you can return let's say user. Okay, so let me return dollar name. Okay, so and dollar email. Okay, like the way you can return, but before that we also need to define return type over here, which will be type of string, let's say. Okay, so this is it, and let me define private over here like that. Okay, and let me define private over here as well like that. Okay, and after that we can define data type over here as well. So here we'll say type string. Actually we don't need to define here, we can directly define over here type string. Okay, now here we can create an object which is val user is equal to new user. Okay, inside that we can define name, which is Mahesh, comma we can define Mahesh at gmail.com, like the way we can define. Okay, after that we can use println. Inside that I'll say user dot get user details, and let me run this program, and we'll get output over here Mahesh. Okay, with email ID. So we can also use inner classes. If you want to use inner classes, you can define directly over here class, let's say inner classes, or whatever the name, let's say user details again. Okay, and inside that user details you can write anything, whatever you want. Okay, so you can use inner keyword here as well. Okay, let me use, so like the way you can define inner classes if you want. Apart from that, what you can do, you can use constructor over here as well. Okay, by using this constructor keyword. So this, all the variables that we have defined over here, we can remove it from here. Okay, and we can define it over here as well if you want. Okay, so let me remove this thing, and we can use this semicolon, which is optional. It is all your choice, guys. If you wanna define this thing, you can define, or you can skip it as well. So like the way you can define the variables over here as well. Okay, after that we have init block. Once you initialize this object, it will automatically execute the code which is written inside init block. Okay, let me write println over here, and let me write initialized init, let's say. Okay, and this time what we can say, let me remove this thing. I don't need to write this thing, and I don't want to pass anything over here. Okay, so and this time I also don't need to write this thing, and this will be the smallest possible example we have. So where we got the init over here. Okay, so like the way you can define the class. Now let's talk about inheritance quickly. So for that you can directly define new class over here. Let me add user details over here. Let me name it details over here, and let me add user details over here as well. Okay, so this will be my user class, this will be my user details, which will be extended by user. Okay, so you can simply use colon over here, and make sure to use to write open over here, otherwise you cannot inherit from here. Okay, after that, let's say let me execute this thing with user details, and you will get the output of user and user details. Okay, over here. So after that, what you can do, you can write the function over here. Let me add a function which will be, let's say, get hello. Okay, like that. You need to define return type over here, which is type of string, and it will simply return hello, like that. And let's say if you want to override this function over here, you can use it by writing override keyword. Okay, you can simply write override keyword over here, but make sure to open this thing as well. Okay, this is very important. So after that only you can use this thing, and you can access get hello world over here. So once you define user and dot get hello world, okay, then only it will work. So let me run this thing once again, and let's see what the output we get over here. So yeah, we got the user and user details, but we also need to print this thing. Okay, so either we can write println over here, and we can wrap this thing inside that. So like the way it will work, let me rerun this thing quickly, and let me see the output of hello. So like that we can use. You can also define the data classes here as well. So let me remove this code from here, and let me remove this thing as well. So instead of this thing, you can write data directly. So while creating models in Spring Boot, you can use this thing, and you don't need to write getter setters, val name, email, password, all the things. Okay, you even don't need to write curly braces. This is it. This is how you can define the models. Okay, so like the way you can define the data class, and onwards there are lots of other new features as well. So with that, I guess we can stop here. This it was the simplest and quickest kind of crash course that we have covered. And thank you so much all of you guys for being with me, supporting me all the time. It's been pleasure to be here, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel if you haven't already, and please smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.